Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my review for the mid-season premiere of Season 9 of The Walking Dead. That's right, the episode finally happened, after months of anticipation for a lot of fans. For me, it was only really a couple of days, considering the fact that I literally watched the mid-season finale Friday and reviewed it then, so I only had to wait really 2 days to watch this episode, but I guess it is what it is, right? I mean, really, I had to wait the longest out of anybody to watch, this season anyways, because I didn't watch it until December, like after it had already gone on its mid-season break. But then I only watched like 3 episodes, and then I took a break because of Christmas and finals and everything. And then I started it back up again in January, and then obviously stopped because things were just getting complicated. And then I obviously started it, finished the episodes this week. Got caught up with the season this week. So I had like the weirdest watching experience I ever pretty much had with this show. I've been like the weirdest Walking Dead fan anyways, but I'll go into more detail about that in a different video. But yeah, let's talk about tonight's episode. Tonight or last night's episode, depend on when this video goes up and when you see it and stuff. But I'm not just gonna talk about the episode itself. I'm also gonna talk about Talking Dead along with it. I'm also gonna mention how I'm gonna structure these now, since I'm doing the Walking Dead videos weekly now, where I'll watch every episode every week and review it, and I'll do that week to week. I'll kind of explain how I'm going to structure these reviews now, because I've been kind of thinking how I'm going to structure them, and that will be pretty much that. So let's just start off with that, because now that I'm watching these shows live every week, it was kind of weird because I haven't watched The Walking Dead live since the season 5 finale. It's been that long since I've watched this show live, because season 6, 7, and 8, and the first half of season 9 I watched via Netflix. Season 9 I watched on AMC.com. So pretty much what I've been able to do was I've been able to just watch it and kind of at my own pace. That's not really going to be the case anymore. Now that I'm watching these episodes, it was kind of weird because typically I get to skip the commercials and stuff and just kind of get right to the episode. But I'm gonna, since that's happening, I have like certain ways I'm gonna structure these reviews. So yeah, you typically will see these videos every week. However, you won't always see it on Sundays, because Talking Dead comes on after The Walking Dead, and I want to watch that afterwards along with it. So you'll probably see these reviews on Mondays, because I'll record them right after Talking Dead, and Talking Dead tonight ended at around 11:15. So what will happen is I will record them and I'll upload them right after I do the video. And I don't know how long these reviews are going to take. It probably will vary from week to week. But I imagine it's probably going to take a half hour to do these videos, and then obviously I got to upload it and stuff. And what will happen is you'll probably see these videos on Mondays. They'll be up by midnight Mondays, and you guys can watch them anytime you want, really, until the next episode. So that's going to be kind of how these reviews will be structured. However, it won't always be the case, because there's going to be some Sundays where I have some commitments. I already know the dates ahead of time, when I have these other commitments and stuff, because we already know the dates of when each Walking Dead episode's going to air. Because obviously these episodes air from week to week. Tonight's episode aired on February 10th, and then it's just going to continue going that way up until March 31st, 2019. Um, so I already know what episodes I'm gonna not be watching live, and I'll just say them right now real quick. I'm gonna miss next week's February 17th, 2019, because I got other commitments. I'm gonna be watching another show and stuff like that. So what's gonna happen is next week, at some point, I don't know exactly when I'll have that review up. I don't have to go to school the next day, so I might do it on President's Day. What I'll do is I'll structure my reviews the same way I structured the first half of this season, where I'll watch on AMC.com, do the intro for it, review the episode itself, and then review Talking Dead along with it, kind of the same thing. But yeah, I'm gonna miss next week's, and I'm also gonna miss the March 10th, 2019 episode of The Walking Dead, which that episode will be Choke Point. So I'm gonna miss Omega and Choke Point. I won't see those live, but I'll have the episodes up the next day or so. So those are the episodes as of right now. I know I'm gonna miss. I don't know if I'll miss another one, because obviously we could get a huge snowstorm, or we could get just a regular storm anyways, or we could end up I could just end up getting sick or something. Stuff happens. So hopefully though, I will be able to watch every episode Sundays and have it up by Mondays. But those are the definite episodes that will have a bit of a delay. Will be episodes 10 and 13. So yeah, that's pretty much that. But how the reviews will be structured when I actually can watch them Sundays and get them up Mondays will be, I have decided that what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to be watching The Walking Dead and Talking Dead, back to back, what I'll do is I'll just kind of combine the reviews, even though I kind of do that anyways, but I won't just, review both of them one by one, because they pretty much kind of talk about the same thing anyways. What I'll do is I'll talk, if there's a scene that they kind of discussed and stuff on Talking Dead, I'll just kind of bring it up and stuff like that, and I'll just kind of combine the grades together. I'll just give it one big grade. So that'll pretty much be how I review that stuff. But enough of me talking. Let's get what you guys clicked on the video for, and let's actually start reviewing the episode. So like I said, this episode aired last night if you're seeing this Monday, but if you need the date, it's February 10th, 2019. And this episode is called Adaptation. Yeah, like I said, it's season 9, episode 9. And it was directed by Greg Nicotero, who also was a guest on Talking Dead as long as Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Norman Reedus, which also that was hosted by Chris Hardwick. And there was certain tricks that he talked about, in Talking Dead. And if I probably went back and watched this episode and stuff, you could definitely see some of his tricks, because I know he's directed a few episodes not a few, but I think he's at least directed a season of The Walking Dead. So, and I actually like him. I actually feel like he knows how to kind of film a zombie show, because you can kind of feel like that he kind of religiously watches zombie shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna structure these reviews the same way, kind of in a way where I'll talk about just one storyline all at once, just because if I try to do it scene by scene, it would just be a huge clusterfuck, so we don't really want that. I'm gonna talk about everything first that happened with Negan, because everything else I talked about kind of goes together hand in hand with the Whisper storyline. Negan was kind of its own thing. I'm not saying that it wasn't important, because it actually was very important, but I liked it a lot. But what I liked about this episode, I would say, is that it kind of, was like the climax in a way to last episode, where we got to kind of, where we got some explanation about certain things. So I liked that a lot. But yeah, we kind of start off with Negan when, like, right after he escapes from his cell, which I wonder if we're gonna find out who caused him to get out. Was it Gabriel? Was it somebody else? I wonder what went down that caused him to escape. But we see him go into Judith's room, and I did like that they showed the picture that Judith was making in the first episode of the season, just because I thought that was kind of significant in a way, because at one point Judith's family was all kind of whole in a way, and now her father and brother were dead, and he died within a span of a year too. And he takes her compass, and when Negan goes to escape, Judith catches him and pretty much tells him that he has to go back to his cell. Those are the rules, no exceptions. And Negan says that can't happen, because he talks about how Judith's parents had a plan for him, had a plan for a better world, after season 8. He says that everything that's happened, since this is the first time being out here, it looks pretty damn good, but Negan doesn't want that to be his place. He doesn't want to just be tied down to sitting in a cell, in a 10 by 10 cell, looking out the window. He's got other plans for himself. And I like that, thing from Negan. And Judith doesn't really want to just let him walk, so Negan wants her to pretend that she doesn't see him. So Judith lets him leave, but warns him that if she sees him again, she isn't going to hesitate to shoot him. And that was pretty much that. And she also asked him if he took something from her, and he reveals that he took the compass, and Judith tells him to keep it, and that was pretty much that. But I like this. I actually like Judith's character. I kind of feel like still, like I said, that should be Carl's storyline. Either that or Henry's storyline should be, he should have one of those storylines. Should be Carl's. But yeah, I think the show thus far has really shown the relationship has done a really good job of showing like the nice relationship that Negan and Judith have with each other. It does remind you a lot of the Carl, Negan relationship that they were kind of having, before Carl died and stuff. How Negan actually liked Carl and stuff, so it kind of reminded me of that a lot. And it was very interesting because this was the first time that Negan has been outside his prison cell, and they said 6 years, but that isn't the case at all. It was more like 7, because season 9 has originally a year and a half time jump, and Negan was still locked in his cell then, and then obviously after season 6, more so episode 6, episode 5 has the 6-year time jump. Negan hasn't been outside the world for 7 years. And I also was kind of thinking about it like this too. This is kind of the first time Negan really has had to survive for himself, because typically he's always had somebody watching over him and stuff. He's always, when we first meet him, he's he's got all these people that are followers to him. He's just taken all of the community stuff, and he's never really had to make it on his own, that we've seen anyway. So this is the first time it's really just Negan versus the world in a way. So he finds like some sort of pipe or something like that, and he has like his first interaction with a walker. And that was kind of an interesting scene, because Negan hadn't seen a walker in 7 years, so he kills it. And you can kind of see like Negan's kind of conflicting with himself. Like you can kind of see that he's starting to be rehabilitated a little bit because the Negan that we saw at the end of the season 8 and the Negan that we see in this episode are two completely different people, I think. Not, Negan still, but when Negan would take out the walkers, he would act like the old Negan. So I really like that, but he ends up losing his food, and he has to, drink water from the lake. And what ends up happening with that is that was actually an Easter egg that Greg Nicotero talked about when Negan throws up the water. They shot that scene in the same exact place where we originally met Negan after he, killed Glenn and Abraham. So I actually kind of thought that was very symbolic in a way, that Negan at that point was the one killing people, leaving them on his knees, and he's the one now on his knees throwing up and suffering and stuff. I kind of thought that was pretty cool. And Negan goes to a Men's Warehouse store to get a leather jacket, because Negan wouldn't be Negan without that. And he grabs one, and these feral dogs come up and are about to attack him, so Negan has to get up on one of the shelves to hide from them. And it was actually a pretty cool scene because they did an interview segment where the cast kind of talked about how it was shot, and we kind of found out Jeffrey Dean Morgan had to there's actually a huge dog lover and stuff. But yeah, Negan goes to escape, and he tries to get the door open. He gets it open at the last minute before the dogs attack him, but he comes face to face with a walker who throws it in to the store. And I guess we don't know what happened, but we hear the walker eat a dog or something, one of the dogs or something like that, because all we hear was the dogs whining and stuff. And I liked it. The funny thing is a Walking Dead fan actually called into Talking Dead and asked if the dogs were okay afterwards, and why Negan would do that. And Negan was just kind of well, he didn't really expect it and stuff like that. It was a pretty stupid question to ask. But then we see Negan go back to the sanctuary, which, yes, we've seen it this season, but this is the first time we had seen it since the 6-year time jump. Negan even says "home sweet home." He comes in and does his trademark savior whistle, and you could kind of see that there was really nothing there for Negan, because he's kind of conflicted about being back. He breaks into one of the the sections of the sanctuary and finds his own motorcycle, and we overhear one of the walkers that I guess was somebody that he knew that had been reanimated. I forget the person's name off the top of my head, but it's very symbolic. And we see that there's really nothing there for Negan to really keep him going. He goes to his old office area where he would be, and there's really nothing there for him. So he goes and just kills all the walkers, except the one that he knew, saying that, "What, are you cheating on me?" And then he realizes that this isn't going to work out and kills the other one. And Negan leaves the sanctuary. And I thought that was very significant in a way, because it was where Negan stayed all this time. And I think Negan seeing the sanctuary in that type of state just kind of made him realize that there was really no point to going there. So that was very interesting. I forgot to mention that Negan also said that he promised Judith that he wouldn't hurt anybody, even if they hurt him. And I thought that was very significant too. So what happens is he's riding back in his motorcycle. Judith shoots at him. Negan but misses. There was a poll that they did wondering if Judith missed him on purpose and stuff like that, and a lot of people voted yes, which clearly she did. And Judith is upset, because everybody's out there looking for him, and she wants to know why Negan's coming back. And Negan's coming back because he doesn't care if his place is in a prison cell or not. He says that there's nothing out here for him. there's no place for him. So Judith, I guess, just agrees to go back with him and stuff, and says that like he's smart, and you get to kind of see more of the connection with Negan and Judith. But I really like what they did with Negan in this episode. You can definitely see that he's being rehabilitated, and Negan's actually starting to have like a change of heart, which I think is a very unique storyline for him. I still think he should have died at the end of season 8, and that nothing will change my opinion on that, just because of all like the deaths and stuff that he had caused and stuff. But it was still like a nice storyline, and I think what's gonna happen, and I'm just predicting here, I haven't read the comics or anything, is he's gonna end up helping, you know, Alexandria, the Hilltop, and the Kingdom, because I think the Kingdom will get involved in this like war that they're gonna have in the Whisperers, and that's gonna be very significant because he's gonna be like on the good side now, when originally he was on the other side going up against the war with the Saviors. So I think that's gonna be awesome. So I really like what they did with Negan this season. I thought it was a thumbs up, and I liked it. So we pretty much have everything else that takes place on the episode that was connected with the Whisperers. The episode actually started off being narrated by Michonne, where she talks about how now they're going to enter a war after they had just had this big war with the Saviors, and they've, you know, moved on from that, and how they lost people kind of along the way. I really liked it. It kind of gave the season the tone of kind of what it's going to be about, and it kind of reminds fans that like didn't watch, that, you know, haven't seen this stuff in a couple of months, kind of refreshes up their memory about what happened. So I like that. I kind of like that they do that now. It's something new that they haven't done before. They did it for this episode. They did it for the season premiere, obviously, and they did it for episode 6. But I guess they didn't do it as much with episode 6, but it was more Michonne's like narration, kind of what happened after like the past 6 years and stuff. And we see the graveyard site, and they kind of, you know, Michonne and Daryl kill all like the Whisperers / the Walkers in the graveyard, so that way they can get Jesus out of there. And they want to bring Jesus back to the Hilltop, so that way he can be buried, so that way they know that he had like a nice burial and stuff, and that the body was found. They tied this in with Rick, because Michonne like thanked Daryl for trying to find his body for her, and they kind of like have like a nice little conversation and stuff like that. And what happens is they find a herd of walkers, and I think what's going to be awesome about watching this season is not knowing, you know, what makes the walkers now unique is now they kind of are a threat in a way, because we don't know if, you know, they're really walkers or not. We're going to be questioning if it's, I don't know why my webcam keeps doing that. It's done that the past few videos I've done where it just freezes out of nowhere, but I'll just keep
going. But yeah, as I was saying, we're not going to really sure if it's going to be the Whisperers or the Walkers. So if you see Walkers in a way, you kind of got to double check. But they see Walkers at the bridge, and what I like what they do here is so Daryl can tell whether or not it's really a Walker or not. He shoots them in the legs, and obviously if a Walker gets shot in the leg, it's just going to walk right through it, and a person actually feels the pain. So, yeah, Daryl shoots. One of them ends up being a Whisperer and gets eaten by the Walkers. And yeah, what I actually have been thinking about though with this Whisperers thing, is how can they talk to the Walkers and give them direction, because they've done like the thing where they put the guts on the Walkers and they, you know, spread them all over themselves, but typically if you speak, they kind of know that you're not, you know, a Walker. They usually will immediately attack you. So it is kind of interesting that happens. I mean, the
that I guess like they wouldn't attack you, but I do notice that like typically because obviously we hear them talk because that's throughout the episode and stuff, but I do think that's very interesting. But yeah, and I also want to say something else real quick while I have it on the mind. I was talking to like my stepmom and stuff about like walkers and stuff, and like how would we die if we were gonna go out. And we talk about how we wouldn't want to get eaten because it'd be painful having all these walkers. Well, we said zombies because we know what they are. Constantly biting at your skin, but I wonder if you really feel it after you know, the first bite, because I wonder like if your body just goes right into shock, and you just kind of don't really feel when you get eaten again. So I just thought that was very interesting. But continuing with my review, just kind of, you know, going off topic a bit, but if you've ever watched my videos, you know I kind of am like that anyways. So Michonne kills another one of the Whisperers, and one of them pulls on a knife, and Dale, you know, and everybody else pretty much catches her, and Dale forces her to her knees, and what happens is they try to ask her questions and stuff, but she doesn't give an answer, so they did agree. So Dale says that they're going to take her back to Hilltop and interrogate her, which was a big move for Dale because he was kind of the one making like the big decisions, because now that Rick's gone, he's going to be kind of like the leader of the group now, so I think that's very interesting. And they take her back to Hilltop, or they blindfold her so that way like she won't know how to get there, which that's kind of funny now because Bird Box just came out, and it's a good thing like the zombie apocalypse doesn't have to do that, you know, for this show. But they go back to Hilltop, and you can just immediately feel like the sadness and stuff of you know, when they come back and they see like their leader Jesus has died and stuff like that. So you can just immediately see that. It was pretty much the same scene they did, you know, when Dale and everybody came back from Alexandria after Carl had died, and everybody tells them about that. That scene though was dumb because of the death of Carl, but so they bury Jesus, they have a funeral for him, and this kind of gives, for some reason they decide that Taylor's going to be the leader, which, that sucks, because I don't like Taylor's character. I think she's like one of the worst characters of the show, and yeah, this kind of makes Jesus, this doesn't really make me feel better about Jesus' death. I'm not saying I hated it or anything, but it's like, fuck, now we're going to see more Taylor on the show. Like, if anything, I want to see less Taylor on the show. She was fine in this episode, I guess, but her character just is just so annoying. And one of the members of the Hilltop, I know we've seen her before, but I forget her name. Wants, you know, it pretty much says that Taylor's gonna have to start making the decisions now about how to go forward with this war and stuff. And Taylor said that she's gonna start making the decisions. And everybody puts the Whisperer in their in a cell, and what happens is Dale finds Henry in his cell, and I like this scene because you could just see the disappointment on Dale's face when he sees Henry in there, kind of like he's let him down in a way. And he kind of tells Henry what's going on, reveals that Jesus is dead and stuff. And what happens is everybody's interrogating the Whisperer, but the Whisperer doesn't say anything, you know. Pretty much she says that she's not really with anybody. She was only with that group because it was a way for them to survive and stuff like that. But obviously they know this is and they said that they don't have a name. We haven't used it and stuff. We just did what we had to do to survive. But pretty much Michonne, Taylor, and Dale are just seeing right through it. They talked about too in Talking Dead how they shot this, where Daryl was standing outside the cell, kind of watching this, and Taylor and Michonne were standing inside the cell, which, you know, I really like that. I kind of thought it was a nice thing for that to happen. And what happens is, you know, they agree to try to get interrogating her the next day, but Michonne tells Daryl that it's really not a good idea for her to stay there, because obviously they feel like that the Whisperers will come over and try to, you know, attack them, and it will lead to a big war, causing the fall of the hilltop. And pretty much Michonne doesn't want any more deaths, and have another war after the war with the Saviors, 7 years, you know, prior to this. So Daryl says that he's going to try to interrogate her, and Michonne wants to leave because she wants to tell her people about this. And you can kind of see that Michonne and Taylor are kind of getting along, because obviously we know that they kind of really weren't from the last episode. When it wasn't the last episode, it was, you know, 2 episodes ago. So what happens is Michonne and Daryl talk. Aaron, who actually is pretty heartbroken about Michonne's death, realizes that Michonne is right. We should have taken care of our own people instead of trying to help the other communities like the Hilltop. And he says that he apologizes for not realizing that sooner. And Daryl comes down and realizes that he has to find a method to about something to do about the Whisperer. And you can kind of see that Daryl kind of has to be the guy kind of making the decisions, because they really make it kind of look that way for Daryl, where he's going to be kind of the leader of the group now, because that's kind of how it is since Rick is gone now and stuff. So I kind of like that about the show, and I like how they kind of did that in this episode. You know, Daryl even talks to Henry, and Henry talks about how he knew what his role was when he was in the kingdom, but being a part of a new community, he doesn't really know what his role is now, which that's pretty relatable, because you know, because that's kind of how like life is in a way. When you start off like in a new college, when you go to a new house, when you go to a new job, you kind of don't really know what your role is, so it kind of makes you sometimes it makes people kind of do dumb things. So I thought that was very relatable. And you know, when they bring Eugene back, Sadiq puts his knee back in place, and he tries to confess his love for Rosita, because he doesn't think he's going to get an opportunity after going through that traumatic experience, but this causes Rosita to leave. She throws up. Sadiq comes out and thinks that it's just something having to do with her injuries, but we find out that Rosita's pregnant. But it's not Gabriel's baby, it's not Eugene's baby, it's Sadiq's baby, because we found out that they were kind of fooling around before she started dating Gabriel. So I'd have to say, fuck you, Sadiq, because you caused Carl to die. I'm gonna say that every episode that he's in, because I fucking hate you. I mean, it really wasn't him, but storyline wise, Carl would have fucking died if it wasn't for his fucking character. So fuck you. And you know, Carl died for you, and he's barely on the fucking show. So fuck off. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty big reveal, but I actually forgot about it until they brought it up in Talking Dead, because a lot of the episode was kind of focused around the Whisperer storyline. So then what happens is Daryl, after Jesus is buried and stuff, goes down and like really interrogates the Whisperer, and he finally gets her to tell him stuff. She tells him that there's 10 of their group, and that we you know, but he doesn't really get the answers that he wants, but he does get some answers. You know, she even talks about how their community is not going to last, because there'd be days where I wish we could have a wall, but places like this are just made to fall. And I liked it, and I really liked Dale's role here, and Henry's the one that's telling him to stop, and he's telling Dale to shut up, and Dale is about to kill her when she's not giving him the answers that he wants, but Henry stops him from doing it, and Dale even says that I told you to shut your mouth, and you want to know where your place is? It's behind this cell, kind of showing that, like, Henry's kind of pissing Dale off and really disappointing him and stuff. So, the Whisperer thanks Henry from stopping Dale from killing her, and we find out her name. I believe it's Lysol or something like that. I don't remember the name off the top of my head because I'm bad with names. Once I hear it a few times, I remember it, but we do find out her name. But we also hear that Dale is listening in on their conversation. So I think that's pretty interesting. It's kind of like Dale has a read on people, and maybe he can get the answers that she wants out of her, not from him, but just from Henry. Maybe Dale threatened to kill her so that way Henry would save her, so it would save her, and it would cause him to open up to her and stuff. So I actually thought that was awesome right there, and very smart for Dale to do that. And that was kind of everything that took place at the hilltop. I quite liked it. I really liked Dale's role in this episode, and you can definitely see that he's kind of transitioning really well if he is going to be the main character to the show. And he's not like the main character that I thought he was going to be, where he's like Rick, who would do the big speeches. He still gets to be Dale, but you could kind of see that he's making the decisions, and he still has his likable mannerisms and stuff. So, but then we find out, but there was one more thing that took place. So what happens is, earlier in the episode, when Michonne, Dale, and stuff don't go back, people at the hilltop are going to go find them. So Luke wants to go because he wants to contribute to the group. So him and Alden ride together, and they talk about music and stuff, and they call themselves the two-man band, and Luke even calls himself Two-Hand Luke, which is a bad joke. They even call it out in the show. And we find I forget the name of the person, but it's the I believe her name is I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Yamoti or something like that. It's that Asian girl that's got a British accent, and we find like her bow and arrows, and Luke thinks that it's her setting these up in the trees, leaving a trail for them. And a walker's about to attack them. This was a really cool looking walker. It was like a walker that was attached to like a walker that was like cut and stuff like that. The design was awesome. They did have a backstory for it on Talking Dead, but I forget what it was. And Luke doesn't kill it. He easily could have just used the arrow, but there's a Luke kind of doesn't really kill anything. So Alden uses his spear and just throws it at the one that's standing up, and Luke just kicks the other one, and he's like, yeah, two-man band, baby. And they follow the trail of the arrows, and then they come across another walker who is wandering, and Luke's about to kill it, but it stops. And this is at the point we knew that this was a trap. We obviously kind of assumed that anyways, because I just had a feeling that this was going to end up being a trap, and it was. What happens is the Whisperers pop up, and somebody pulls it up and says, the trail ends here. And we found out on Talking Dead that this person name is Alpha, which I really hate that the Talking Dead spoiled that. But we finally meet Alpha, who's probably going to be like the leader of this group. And we're going to find out why they do what they do. And I don't exactly know what's going to happen here, but it's got me excited. You know, we see the trailer for next week's episode. We see a sneak peek of it, and I'm actually really excited for it, you know. I can't wait to watch next week's episode. So that was pretty much that. That was the episode pretty much for this week. And I really liked this episode. I thought it did some nice stuff, like furthering along the Whisperer storyline. Really, this was kind of the start of it, in a way, because we met a member of the Whisperers, and we got to see Daryl interrogated and stuff, and I thought Daryl did very well in this episode, and how he's the one that's going to make the decisions. I liked the funeral of Jesus, and I liked the ending and how it ended and stuff, which it really wasn't a twist to me, because I kind of figured that was the direction they were going to go. And I obviously liked Negan's role in this episode with the rehabilitation of him, finding out Rosita's pregnant, even though it's kind of not as memorable because it took place in an episode where so much was going on and stuff. So yeah, I really liked this episode. I thought it was really good. I'm going to give it a B. And that's pretty much that. I can't tell you how other people's rated it, because the episode literally just got off the air, but I thought it was a really good episode for the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. And I actually kind of really can't wait to see how this Whisperer storyline is going to play out. And I got to say, that shot too, when Alpha pulls out like the shotgun or whatever, with the Walker skin all over it, is just a really cool visual. It's really awesome. If you want to watch this episode for anything, definitely watch it for that visual, because it just looks awesome. Greg Nicotero definitely did a good job directing this episode with the little things that he was doing. Other things that took place in Talking Dead was they kind of, like I said, talked about the scenes. They plugged Norman Reedus' other show, Ride with Norman Reedus, which I actually might watch that at some point, maybe after I'm done watching Walking Dead and stuff, because while I don't know anything about motorcycles and stuff, it looks like it could be like a fun podcast show where they can talk about other like behind the scenes stuff from The Walking Dead, but also kind of like about their lives, because I don't think they have like the same people on it every time. I think this week, which it's airing right now, it had Andrew Lincoln and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I definitely want to give that a watch. I think that could end up being a pretty good show, actually. And I would also include, you know, if I did do that, I would probably just start off reviewing the episodes just solo, but then if I caught up enough, I would end up probably just reviewing it within the Walking Dead reviews, just like that. I also like Talking Dead too, but I would still give the episode a B. It doesn't raise the grade up for this episode or anything. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say. I really can't wait to watch next week's episode. But like I said, next week's episode's review is going to be delayed because I got other commitments. I don't know exactly when it will be up, but it will be up at some point. And the format's going to go back to the same format as Season 9 has been doing the first half of the season. So definitely check that out. But yeah, I really don't have anything left to say. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the episode and stuff. But that's pretty much the end of this video. Leave your thoughts on what you guys thought of this episode down below. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers YouTube channel, because I hopefully will be getting some content on that channel out fairly soon. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.